Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Creatio Arena. As usual, I'm your host, Alex Petrenko, Product Evangelist with Creatio. And today I'm joined by, as always, an incredible crowd. I would like to introduce you to Radoslav Zagadlo, Software Development Director at Digital Care Group. Radoslav has a broad experience as software engineer, technology, and people manager, project manager in insurance industries for I think it was more than 12 years. So that right, Radoslav?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
Perfect. And also we have Federico Musa here, co-founder and partner of Taugan, Sales and Operations Director there. Federico has more than 30 years of experience working in different roles, technical, commercial, and management of multinational IT companies like IBM, Oracle, BMC Software, and Informatica. Fred, welcome to Creatio Arena.
Thank you.
And as always as well, we have Eric Hale, my dear friend, a Director of Global Sales Enablement with Creatio. Gentlemen, welcome to Creatio Arena, where today's our topic is what will be the future of IT world? Will citizen developers take over the traditional developers' place or not, if everything's going to stay exactly the same as it is right now? For our audience, for our viewers, would like to remind that we have at the bottom of your screens options to vote for either options. We also have the chat area. So please feel free to vote, to change your mind during this arena, and definitely ask questions in the chat area. Tell us what you think. We really want to know, how do you feel about this? A little bit, and kind of a version and question to some of the viewers, to the leaders, and to the world of IT. And just like that, we're gonna start, and we're gonna kick off our discussion. Fred, why don't you go first? Tell us what's your initial idea about how the world of IT is going to change if citizen developers are going to take over it.
May I speak for 2 hours or just 10 minutes?
Let's start for as long as you want. I'll interrupt you if I feel like we're going over.
Okay, no problem. First of all, I think that's very important to address what is the concept of a citizen development. And I think that we define that as users that create business apps to be consumed by others. That's in general. My perception doesn't mean if you do use a no code or a low code, despite some analysts just say that they use a no code application. But we will talk about citizen developments here. At least all my perspective will be inside the universe of the organization, so inside the company. And these citizen developers will use tools and platforms that are sanctioned by the IT department. That's an important consideration at the beginning, at least for now. And let's make it clear: citizen developers are not the shadow IT. So I'm not talking about shadow IT inside the companies. That's another point. So let me start saying about the situation. So everybody's talking about digital transformation. That's the topic of the moment. And it makes myself to remind about the business process reengineering in the 90s, when people was trying to analyze the business process and workflows inside the organization to streamline and optimize everything inside the company. So they come with the best practices, the ERP, and then we have the improvements in cost, services, and speed. So it's very similar with the digital transformation today. But I think that the problem is that today, all the changes are occurring faster outside the company than inside the company. So when you talk about the engineering process to look at the company inside, the digital transformation is more to follow the changes that are happening outside the company. It's very faster in today. So companies need to be agile to survive in the market, and some segments more than others. There is a high demand for software. So, this demand is higher than the software production. So the developers, Java and .NET are not developing in the speed that the users are demanding. So the IT devs they are struggling their effort to keep the lights up, and they leave business areas requests most of the time unattended. When you talk about administrative requests and reporting requests, forget it. The IT said, no, reporting administrative is not with me. And there is a depth in traditional developers that. So it brings us window and a great opportunity, and I will say it in a positive way. Citizen developers are a reality and will occupy more and more space in the business area inside an organization. I really believe that the ratio between citizen developers and traditional developers will increase. And I believe there will be a time where the number of citizen developers inside a company will be maybe equal or maybe higher than the number of the IT developers, the traditional developers. So the citizen developers will work as a kind of a bridge to fill the gap that we have today. Okay, but it doesn't mean that traditional IT developers will be reduced or will be just extinguished. I think that the key word here, and we'll talk about that, was collaboration. So that's my first thoughts about.
So you're basically pro balance, you know, the markets and the infrastructure of organizations gonna balance it all out, right? And they're gonna be kind of remaining in the same kind of balance. That's a very interesting thought. And definitely we're gonna come back to that because I really want to explore that a little bit more. But Radoslav, or Radek, if I can call you that, what's your thought on that? How do you see the world changing? How does the IT, the IT world will be shaped in the future?
So right now we know what is citizen development. So I would say that definitely traditional developers, like professionals, won't be replaced by citizen developers. I think that in the future they will be coexisting together, like working like a complementary parts. Because, of course, what I think citizen development, and for me, it's very similar to low code, no code movements and approach. I think lots of advantages in such approach. So we are able to test business hypotheses very quickly, to build some proof of concepts. We are able to move to delegate some building systems and a configuration job to the business users. On the other hand, IT guys, when business user can take over like testing hypotheses, building business apps and satisfying business needs very quickly with the platform, someone has to bring this platform to the business users, and I think it's still IT job. I think we will be able to focus on things that we are really good at. So on complex algorithms, on complex integrations. I think it's crucial because, of course, business users are good in building from the block, because it's happening right now. It's the way as we are working right now. So business users are really savvy in building satisfying clients or other business devs needs, are very savvy and good at. But let's say that there's a complex integration. We, like IT guys, we have to do that. We have to design the architecture. We have to take care of like a traditional IT concerns like duplication of solutions, like the whole design and architecture for performance, for security, and I think it will remain the IT job. On the other hand, I can imagine, because we are operating right now with low code solution, with your Creatio platform, with other platforms. And when we are building things, it's really nice. We are building something, but then you are moving to the production, and who should take care of the production, of the maintenance of the application? Who, business users? I don't think so. It's not happening. So it's still there's a back on production. Production is down. Who is responsible? Who should take care of that? IT should take care of that. So
that's a very. I'm definitely going to come back to that, Radek, because this is really hitting my pain points right now, and I definitely have a few words to say to you right there.
Another point is security, because like a vendors like you or Google or AWS. You are saying that our low-code, no-code platforms for citizen developers are secure. Of course, they are secure. But how about the general knowledge of the developers about security. You can breach any secure platform by not being aware of specific security issues. It's I would say that it's quite still a new topic even for traditional developers to follow some good practices, some good security practices to use it in everyday life. How about citizen development? No way. They are not thinking about security, and it's another area when we IT guys should take care of that, make some standards, make some educations, and some checks on that. So definitely, in the future, we will be existing together. Business people will be, as a citizen developers, will be delivering software quicker, will be testing business hypotheses quicker. If they are right about their hypothesis about new product, new channels, new partners hypothesis, then probably we'll be developing applications together, like citizen developers with architects, with designers, with traditional developers in the part of complicated integrations. And in the end, I can imagine that IT will be maintaining, in terms of technical issues, IT will be maintaining such application, and business users, back again, will be able, on a low-code, no-code platform, will be able to adjust the application, make some configuration and minor changes. It's my opinion. Coexistence.
Okay. Very interesting. Eric, I know I like to hear what you say. So please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with Fred and Radek. I think that it's not a question if low code technologies are going to come into play and citizen developers. I think it's an inevitability as technology grows. We see it evolve in every aspect of our lives, right? Whether that's the phones we carry in our pockets, the way we view television. We see evolution of technology as we move along. So this low code is an inevitability, right? If we think about programming languages, we've seen it evolve since computers were first started, like back in the 1940s. Programming languages have code of language that we can put in there. So it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's definitely happening. This is just the way technology evolves, and the good things that are associated with low code technologies is one, it's going to be less expensive to put out there. Citizen development resources are a lot cheaper than traditional development methods. It's also going to have other benefits, like when we have fewer code, we have fewer bugs in our application. When you have less code, you have more bandwidth, right? So it's greater accessibility. You don't have, the more code, the more time it is to download that application, run that application. So it's a matter of it happening. But, to Radek's point, when we look at it from the perspective of everybody becoming a developer, right? We don't want to turn it into the wild, wild west either, right? Everybody making their own applications. It is going to be the job of IT to kind of manage and govern these types of applications, because when something goes wrong, who are they going to turn to, right? It's going to be IT. Definitely. And also IT, to that point, it's going to enable them to focus on the more heavy lifting, keeping the infrastructure up and running. So there's all kinds of benefits to citizen development, and it's not a matter of if, it's just when it's going to overtake traditional development methods.
Eric, honestly, I've never felt so confused with your arguments, because I also agree on some of the points that you're saying right there, but I also disagree on some of the points, and I don't know if I totally agree with you or I don't.
It's not hard to confuse you, though, Alex. So you spend a lot of time confused.
Ouch. Okay, Eric. Well, the point for me here is it's not even that about, and I'm going to start with you, Eric. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I can't let that slide in. It's not even the point about, less code or more code that is going to define the size of the application, or it's going to, not define if there's more bugs in it or not. Like everything that you put together with low-code development or low-code design tools is still chunks of code that you add together, right? And it shapes an application. It's probably going to be, the same amount of code, or maybe even more, or a little bit less, right? Because it still kind of has to be universal, it has to work together. But also, I do agree with you saying that, the citizen development is going to slowly take over. But for me, and this is going to somehow resonate with what Radek said, they're saying that the business cannot fully define, the IT landscape or the software or the application that the business is using is something that I cannot agree at all, unfortunately, and I'm sorry, Radek. But because of, a very simple kind of definition, when you have a user, right, or you have a person, a role that is both business skilled and a little bit technically skilled, right? That person understands the two worlds, understands how the business operates as an organism, and knows what are the the muscles that it needs, which is the software and the application itself. And combining these two skills, this person can actually deliver an application that a lot faster, right? Because there's no, broken connection between these two worlds. This person kind of embraces the two together, right? And through providing this, well, before they were called business analysts, when we gave them tools for application design, they kind of became citizen developers, right? And low-code developers. And by giving them these low-code tools for application design, we are allowing them to deliver their ideas in how to, experiment with the business reality within a software a lot faster, because it takes less time to bring it together, right? It's still topical, it's still on point towards what the business needs, right? And there it is a starting point to continue evolving this idea. So saying that, the business will only test out some realities and see if they work and then going to pass it over to the IT, I definitely cannot agree with that, right? And there are many samples, many examples for, how I can prove kind of that argument from my side, but we can get to that later. And Fred, honestly, your argument was probably the closest to me about saying that, the two roles are going to balance themselves out. But again, not fully agreeing there, because for me, having understanding of this benefit that the citizen developers and the low-code tools are going to bring to the organization, right? And keep in mind that citizen developers not always use low-code or like no-code tools, right? There might be a mix. Understanding the benefit that it will bring, the businesses are going to do the switch, and they're going to do, they're going to start hiring more citizen developers and business analysts that can design some applications, understanding that this is a better and faster way when they have the right tools, right? And the classic and the pro developers, as they're also called, are going to continue their path, because they're always going to be in demand in organizations that cannot either apply the low entry point. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of try, argue on that, see if you agree with any of those statements, with those points, gentlemen.
I'll tell you where I disagree with you, Alex.
Please.
So when you mentioned that, low code, you disagreed with the sense, and maybe this is just confusion on your part. I know it's not, because I know how smart you are, Alex. But when it comes to, low code, yes, there's low code, there's coding in the background, right? And each piece of that is a little chunk of code that happens. But if you think about it from a bug perspective, right? Let's look at it. I won't mention any names, because we don't want to slam anybody on this call. But one of our competitors last year, right about this time, had a shutdown in their entire platform due to a bug, and it took them 14 hours to find that bug, right? because they had to scroll through lines and lines and lines of gibberish code that was there. When it comes to low code, right, we can identify those bugs a lot quicker. And even if we identify that bug, rather than try to plaster over it with more code, sometimes because it's so easy to code with low code, it might just be better to just do a whole new iteration of it. So when I talk about lower, fewer codes to kind of manage, we look at it from a bug perspective, right? How, if something goes wrong, how are you going to identify that? You're going to scroll through lines and lines of code for 14 hours while your customers wait for you to fix it, or you have low code technology that enables you to find it quicker, fix it quicker, or even again, start with a new iteration of it directly from scratch. So when we talk about low code, that's how fewer lines of code is going to help you. Hopefully that cleared up your confusion. I know you sell this.
Yes,
right?
no, thank you, absolutely. And this is also why you should never develop on production environments, right? This is why you have all those development, pre-production QAs, and then production environments. That's what it is. And Rada can actually back me up on this as director of software development, huh?
I completely disagree that debugging bugs and fixing bugs with no code and citizen developers is easier, because I think, for me, I'm a software developer, I used to be a software developer, so I think that if you have lines of code, even if you have tons of code, you are able to go line by line, debug the bug line by line, and eventually find the bug. If you have citizen developers and low code, no code platform, it's a black box. Of course, if the bug is obvious, it's simple, it's obvious, it's very easy to find it, to fix it, and to deploy it into the production without a bug. But let's consider a very serious bug somewhere in the low layer of the system, like in the database, like locking, like race conditions. It's a nightmare to find it in the application where you have just a black box and no control over code. So me as a software developer, I would say debugging in the code is easier.
Okay, I mean that is fair. That's the words of the true software developer. I could bet that you're also an Android user. But Fred, what do you think about this?
Yeah, let me add
approach.
Let me add some new perspective of that. Bug will always exist. That's why every software company has a support, and it always exists. But if we talk about the future and about the perspective, let's talk about the evolution. I think that's the point that Eric mentioned. I think that Eric left something. So yeah, I don't know, but I will support him. So if you look at the history about the processors, so in the 70s, when the inception of the microprocessor, so you start to have the distribution of computing. First to the departments, and then to the end user through the PCs, and lately for the mobile. So the user now, they have the power of data processing. So they have the hardware in their hands to process some data. But we don't have the software. So in the beginning, we have the command line that we have to put the command, then the interface become better. We start to improve that. And that's, it happens due to the power of the hardware that we have to process the data there. So, and what we have today, I think that there is a good evolution, big evolution in the software technology, in the graphical user interface today. So it's amazing, the kind of interface that we can do, what we can do today. Even in the program language, with the advantage of the model-driven languages and meta language. So it's something that help a lot to the end user. And we can add on top of that the artificial intelligence that will help not only through machine learning and chatbots, but we can add this topic on the platform today. Not to mention the topics that the test, deployment, and security that we can automate in sometimes. So now we have a platform that the user can build something. So and it's parts of what the people are calling democratization of the IT or the data. So we have some self-services platforms today that's for business intelligence, when everybody can build the reports and can access data and manipulate and analyze data. That's okay. So we have the data that we can do our own reports. We have the access to data today. We have some kind of spreadsheet systems or spread systems like Excel and Google, so it doesn't matter, but a lot of systems that we use in spreadsheets. But what about the process? And I think that the low code and no code brings something new, that you're just not doing a self-service in data, but you have the ability or the possibility to impact in the business process in the company. So you can use the low code and no code language. You can make some adjustments in the process. You can improve the business process. You can contribute to the operational efficiency inside a company. So that's a bigger scope. That's for the companies. I think that the benefits are I think that's too high. It's something that it's part of the evolution. So the technology is evolving, the hardware is evolving. It's just a matter of now the role of the user, this user, the business user, or the citizen development, that's improving. So I think that now this citizen developers has the opportunity not only to access the data, but to change the business process, and it will put a lot of benefits for the companies. That's my point on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do agree in some points that, by providing self-serve technology, we're going to accelerate the whole, moving forward of the users, because some users are going to be a little bit more of, self-sufficient and independent. I do agree that, and this is going to be resonating with Eric's message earlier, that we don't want to give every single user the ability to create an application or to make change to a process, right? But I still do not disagree, again, with Eric, because I do believe that the low-code technology platform should be accessible to any user, right? Any person in the world should be able to take a platform that would enable them to create some application for either business, for something that they can provide as a micro app. They should be able to create an application for themselves, for their home use, yes, right? To be able to automate their home in which they live, because this is just something that they should be able to do, right? If we kind of look back 20, 30 years ago, right? Not everybody knew engineering, not everybody could, work with the mechanics, and they could put together something a robot that would just walk around their house and do something for them, right? Now you can buy all the parts. You've got a lot of tutorials. People are engineerily skilled, in those mechanics, and they can create something themselves. So why cannot the world of software development or software design, as I hope it will be one day called, right, to actually take a platform, right, take a tool set, and then just put together some of those pieces, right? If you want to build an integration, right, between a couple of IoTs within your home, if you want to add some additional functionality on top of it, if you want to have a simple business process design, that you can actually put together. This is something that, I hope one day an 8-year-old would be able to do with the help of with the evolution of these tools. And Eric, we're glad to have you back. I understand you had some technical...
One of those bug fixes, that needed to...
Okay, perfect.
I low-coded way back in.
I knew you had some time to think about your next statement. So we'd really like to hear about what you think so far.
Yeah. So a little out of context, guys, because I missed a little bit of the conversation. But I think where we were going is we have to look at low-code application development from many perspectives, right? I think we can all agree that there's a lot of benefits to business. There's a lot of risks. It comes from a security standpoint, a governance standpoint. But I think at the end of the day, the benefits are going to far outweigh the risks, right? Like, even if we're just thinking about it from, an overall cost perspective, right? I can think of a conversation I had with a prospect recently, where they have this incredible backlog of projects, this demand from the business side, and they don't have the capacity to keep up with that demand. So really, it's causing a rift in the organization, because business is trying to hammer IT over the head. IT just does not have the necessary resources, and again, that resource could be lack of personnel. It could be lack of budget to fund these these projects. How are they going to allocate specific budgets? Well, that's really where I think the biggest benefit is from a low-code perspective, is around those costs associated with that, right? So if you have a limited budget with citizen development resources, it's going to be anywhere from 14 to 19% cheaper to develop those types of applications, right? So that's one. And then secondly, we talk about speed to market with those applications. How quickly can we take that project and realize a quicker time to value? Well, again, that's where low code can come in and help develop those projects quicker, get them up and running, and producing a value even quicker. So I hope that wasn't too out of context of what you guys were talking about. If we're weighing the pros and the cons, I think that is really where, again, it's an inevitability, right? This is the way organizations are going to have to go if they're going to keep up with the demands. I think there's a statistic out there from Forrester where the business demand is growing 5 times faster than IT has the capability to keep up with.
Yes.
So I think it's an inevitability. It's not an if. It's an inevitability.
Yeah. And just an add to the, I'm not, but imagine that you have to fill this demand using even the agile methodology. Mm-hmm. And you have all the steps of for example, the Scrum methodology. Now you are consolidating all the steps in one person.
Yeah.
So they will define the elements, they will prioritize, they will plan the delivery. So they will do the report. Everything in one person. I think I would say that is the agile of the agile when you have the no code and low code platform available.
Well, I don't necessarily agree that this is going to be all one person, right? Again, in the same way that the backlogs of developers, like pro developers, are now stacking up with more and more projects, right, and some tasks that they need to complete. As soon as the organization, the business organization understands that the citizen developers with the low-code tools can deliver stuff a lot quicker, a lot faster, right? They're going to start piling up a lot more, right? And this is going to be this is going to be like a huge snowball that is going down the mountain that's just going to grow and grow and grow. Because when you are capable of delivering more in a shorter time, people are just going to ask for more, right? This is what the human nature it really is, right? So it's not going to be one person, definitely. It's going to be teams of citizen developers that are working maybe with one platform, maybe with just even like a couple tools, right? Everybody's going to have a different area that they're going to be responsible for. Okay, this is the low code, or this is the low code BI team. This is the low code integration team, right? This is going to be the team that's going to be responsible for business process management. This is going to be responsible for UI and data modeling, right? So kind of like the 4 pillars. And there's going to be the 5th one that is going to control all of the development, all of the environments, right? It's going to move and pile them all together, which is also quite possible, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think there is definitely going to be a change in the way how organizations understand these roles, right? How they're going to be changing their hiring patterns, definitely. And of course, I'm not saying that the classic developers are going to extinct as a class and as a role. Absolutely not. I just think that business organizations are going to be moving towards citizen development, right? And they're going to be changing and evolving within these organizations, right? Because a couple of years ago, I don't know, maybe 5 years, we didn't have a term for citizen developer, right? Maybe a little bit more, not sure. I'm pretty sure that with time, we're going to have, you know, even more different other titles that are going to be, you know, somewhere around citizen developments, but still a little bit different in their essence, right? Define classes, define exactly what you're working on, what is your specialty. I know Creatio is now doing a lot of work with universities, with you know, with colleges to promote citizen development, to promote low-code development of applications, right? And maybe one day this is going to be, you know, a classic training in one of those institutions.
Yeah, and you know, I hate to do this, Alex. I hate to agree with you. You know, that's like what you want to do. But I think what you just said, like in terms of having, you know, additional teams, I think that it also brings, you know, another element into development, right? Because low code is a common language, right? It's, you know, you're speaking, you know, well, I mean, it's common language in the sense that people can understand, right? So now not only are your IT teams or your development teams brought into that mix, but you can also bring business users into that collaboration as well, right? So, you know, traditionally it was, you know, top, you know, business level people pushing down ideas to the IT department. And then it was the IT job to kind of translate those requirements and then communicate those back up somehow in a language that, you know, the business would understand. But now I think another thing that low code does is it brings both sides of the house together because, you know, it's a visual design, right? It's a visual design that a business person, if you understand the process and what you want to get out of it, can come in and be part of that that development process. They can collaborate, they can make suggestions. Whereas if they were, you know, speaking on a proprietary language that only the developers understood, then it takes, I've got to translate it for this person, and then this person, I've got to translate it back. This brings everybody together on a single platform, and I think that, you know, can bring teams together very easily.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Eric, you also remember this this joke that, you know, two developers would write a code in a completely different style and way, right? And the worst thing you can imagine doing is actually trying to figure out what was the other person's code about, right? So it's, yeah, it is about uniforming it, right? It is about having a common language and common expression of the design, right, of the business idea standing behind it, for sure, right? Yeah, I mean, but we also need to keep in mind, right, the platform themselves, right? What is going to be the cost of adoption of a new platform for design and to enable the citizen developers, right? Because every single one of them is going to have a different style of design. Every single one of them is going to have different capability. And sometimes, you know, it is easier to work with the blank canvas rather than just working with you know, just very few available tools that are that you have, you know, at your disposal. But Radek, I think you have some interesting thoughts that you want to share with us, you know, because we've been talking for a lot, and you I saw you like frowning, disagreeing, and then nodding, agreeing with us. So what do you think?
Let me share because there are a few topics. Let me share with you how we approach and how we adopted the low code solution, and also some kind of citizen development. So how to adopt, in my opinion, as I still think that the foundation, the governance belongs to IT. So when we provided the platform and we created a team consisted of developers, consisted of business analysts. But what is interesting, typically on the team, in a typical, like a set Scrum team, you have, let's say, 2 business analysts, 4 or 5 developers, 2 testers. Yeah, in a local platform, the proportions are different. So you can have more business analysts and only, let's say, 2 developers. So we started with developers. So developers tried for the first time. Developers tried the platform. Then they came up with the architecture, with the overall design. Then business analysts came to the stage, and business analysts are able to build application. When we are familiar enough and we are playing with the platform easily, then we thought about moving part of the development or configuration to the business user. And right now we have developers for the design, for code job, for coding, for some advanced customizations, for not obvious integration. We have business analysts who are able to build application, and also part of the job is delegated to just to non-IT guys, and I think it's very efficient. It's very efficient and it's practical. On the other hand, recently, like 2 weeks ago, I tried to build a chatbot, and I used one of the platform, no code platform, like click 2 hours. And you know what? I got a chatbot in 2 hours. I got a chatbot, and I was amazed how today's tools, how tools are supporting us in quickly testing hypotheses. Of course, if we want to go into the production, we will have to do some integrations, some microservices, some security, but for testing the idea, it was really great. In matter of hours, we had it. So I think that the first model, like mix of different competences on the team, but on the other hand, as you said, everyone could be developer for testing hypotheses. Then to be able to make it enterprise, okay, we IT guys, we should look at that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's an interesting thought. But Radu, don't you think that the whole idea of you being able to put together a chatbot, like in a matter of hours, kind of talks to the fact that with time we're not going to have such looking over the shoulder by the IT department, right? Because even now, and I think we've discussed this with you a couple of days ago, right? Even now, there is an announcement that AWS is going to be releasing the low-code tools, right, for application design. And I kind of shared with you guys that my idea is that it's probably going to be around managing the whole environment of the AWS's services that are going to be available for their customers, right? To be able to maintain, to be able to create backups, to kind of pull together all those services together in one single area, again, for professional IT development for IT world itself, right? And then it's just going to go in that way. I understand your concern. I understand that your maybe in some points disbelief that the low-code and platform can take over and they can fully enable citizen developers in doing that kind of step and that kind of area of the job. But I think we're just going to see with time what's going to happen, right? And again, even now, the low-code application tools and tools that citizen developers are using enable these users not only to create certain apps, right, but to as well control the full environment and control the life cycle of those applications. To start with deployment of a new environment with one click, right, to be able to design the functionality around it, to be able to actually build tests, right, automated tests like performance tests, penetration tests, even with low code, right, just being able to drag and drop some scenarios around and make sure that it's going to be bulletproof from all directions, from all perspectives, and then to move the design result, let's call it that way, design result between the environments without using complex scripting, complex styles of the environment control, right? So following the CI/CD processes of the organization.
But I think that the case is who we call a developer. For me, developer is not someone, let's say, developer. It's not someone who just writing the code. It's someone who's technically savvy, who knows something about how to design the data model, is someone who knows about development, about different stages of environment, is someone who is aware how testing is important. And in your example, when someone like business user is aware of all those things, I think he or she is a developer. It's not a citizen developer. I mean, she or he is just a developer. He doesn't code, but still he's a developer if she or he is aware of all those things, that is able to move application from one environment to another, secured his application, tested, just a developer. For me, maybe in the future there won't be distinction between classical like a pro developer and citizen developer, maybe.
That's my
Yeah, Fred, please.
That's my point about the evolution of the technology, because I think that the power will be transferred to the citizen developers, to the users. I think that currently probably you have some limitation, and I agree, but with the evolution of the technology, I think that the citizen developers will be more able to do all the stuff. So you don't have to care about the deployments in the production, because probably we'll have some workflows or some check that even the platform will do automatically in order you can just put in production. That's part of the evolution. And I'm talking about security, and I can talk about the control. Even the architecture will be an architecture that's why in the beginning I mentioned that the citizen developers will use the platform that was sanctioned by IT. So IT define all the rules, the policies, and release to the citizen developer, to the business user, the power to develop something. And that's why my point that in the future, as we are talking about infrastructure and policy, the IT department will take care of that, and the number of citizen developers that will take care of the business will grow. And the ratio between the number of citizen developers and IT developers inside a company, today we have IT developers and citizen here, probably the ratio will do something like this. So the number of citizen developers will increase, and IT developers will just keep things under control, that they will take care of the governance of all the process. Mm-hmm. And of course, they will not just be behind the scenes. There is a collaboration here. They have to act as a mentor. They have to train. They have to support these citizen developers. But I think that's my point. I think that citizen developers will increase a lot. And if I have to look at the future from now, 2, 3, 5 years, I will invest in the way of citizen developers. That's the point.
I agree. In one point, I agree completely with you that we should invest in knowledge sharing, knowledge sharing, definitely, because right now, even me, when I think about citizen developers, I think of business users. No, nothing in common with technology, but to be honest, citizen developers will be technically savvy to some extent. As you said about deployments, it's very technical. Of course, probably in a matter of 5 years, there will be no issues with deployments. The technology and IT guys behind the platform will take care of that, and there will be no issues. But let's say testing. I think test and the whole process of quality assurance. It's a very, very hot topic in the low code, no code solution, because for us IT guys, it's obvious that you have to test your code for hours, for days, for complex solutions, unit testing, integration testing, UAT testing, regression testing. But right now, in organizations that I've been working at for the last couple of years, business users tend to say, "Oh, come on, testing, just shorten it, just skip it. Let's test it on the production. It will be quicker." There's no such awareness about importance of the quality of testing. For us IT guys, it's obvious, and I think it's just an example of the area. But I think it's a lot to do for us IT guys who we are responsible for the governance. So it's also our job to build this awareness of security, of quality, build it among citizen developers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And in this conversation actually led me to a question that I have. I'm not going to pretend I have an opinion on it because it's not my area of expertise. But when we talk about development, I'm interested to see and hear your thoughts about the role of we hear artificial intelligence as being like one of the big technologies that's driving growth and making better data-driven decisions. When it comes to the combination of low code and AI, how do you see those two playing together? As we're trying to develop, traditionally, if you're developing an AI solution, that was a huge endeavor, right? I mean, you got data analysts, data scientists, developers, programmers, everybody that's involved in it. And to have an effective AI solution really took a lot of resources and a lot of, when I say resources, not just from a personnel perspective, but a cost perspective. Do you guys see low code helping in that area of artificial intelligence, and how will those two kind of play together?
Ready?
Yeah. In my opinion, I also last experience. I'm also amazed with AI as a platform, solutions. So for me, when we are talking about AI, for me, we IT guys, we are citizen developers in terms of AI because in the past, when you wanted to have AI solutions, as you said, data analysts, developers, platforms, DevOps. Right now, you are able to sign up, log in, make your model, plug it into your data, and you can have taste of AI in hours, in days, and definitely I think we are. It's not mature, of course. It's probably matter of 2-3 years, but I expect that in a matter of couple of years, AI platforms will be fully no code solutions, because everything that sits on the background is very complicated in terms of AI. So definitely that's the area when no code is a must, even for professional developers, because even for like you are taking developer from the market, let's say Java, C# or Python developer, and please sit here and develop for me AI solution. No way. But so that's the reason why I think that no code in this area, definitely will succeed. But we are still not there. It's working. Yeah, I'm amazed that I'm able to upload my data or connect the platform to the web service and click train the model, and it works more or less. But I think it's still a matter of 1 to 3 years to have it mature.
Yeah, I think AI is the opposite way, supporting the low code instead of using low code to develop the AI.
Right.
And that's my vision now. I don't know. I think that Radoslav mentioned something that I was not aware of that, but maybe you can use, because AI is something that, for example, when you develop a machine learning or something like that, you need to have some algorithm behind that, and it's something that you develop using the background. So, and my perception is that when you use the low code platform or the no code platform, you use the AI behind that to help users to not commit mistake or to suggest some ways to the user. So I'm asking AI more supporting these platforms, and in the first step, on the first step. Of course, with the evolution of the technology, that's what Miroslav said, I think that we can use the low-code platform to develop now. But I see the opposite first, the AI supporting that platform before.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Alex, what about you as our product evangelist? What's our take on it?
He disagrees with everybody.
No, it's not that I disagree. I mean, I'm not arguing just for the sake of the argument, right? I definitely think that there's going to be a world, there's going to be a place for everyone. I just believe that the demands and that the role of citizen development is going to grow because, with evolution of technology, evolution of platforms, they are going to be provided with more and more tools in their toolkit that they will be able to use, right? And they will become more and more independent in their endeavors, and they're going to have more and more technical skills as well, Radek, just to kind of reflect on what you're saying, that they're not necessarily technical. They will be more technical, right? Their understanding of technology is going to be more common. Their understanding of what is required, in order to successfully implement a function or a processor or something else is going to be more understandable to them, right? And it's not something that you do in one day, not something that you do in a month or in a year, right? It's going to take some time, but it's going to take a lot less time for us to get there that it did from the first appearance of computers up to the point where Apple was announcing programming languages for kids, right? And understanding that programming languages for kids with their first playgrounds release a couple of years ago. I truly believe that the world is accelerating, right? We're going to get a lot faster. And this is something that we might perceive that, might have as a reality in just 2-3 years, right? And definitely, Creatio as an organization, right, as a platform for local development to support both citizen developers, local developers, classic developers, pro developers, and everybody else. Our goal is to enable but not restrict in using these tools, right? To still allow them to go into development classic development approach, because there are certain tasks that you will only be able to complete within classic development, at least for now. And of course, there's always going to be room for development of those functions that cannot be covered through low code, right? Cannot be covered by citizen developers. Advanced features, advanced AI, advanced machine learning, ultra and uber advanced functions that we're definitely going to get into in a couple of years, because again, we're not stuck in this world that we have right now. Our world is changing as well. We have new technologies emerging all the time, right? And the classic development is something that pushes it forward, right? Because local development and citizen developers are using the tools eventually that classic development has designed and has brought to life. So it is going to be an amazing and interesting time. It is already. It's going to get only better, only more exciting. But of course, this is where we are at, thanks to pro developers and classic development approaches, in my opinion. And gentlemen, as much as I would like to continue this conversation, unfortunately, we're on top of the hour. I would like to thank you very much for finding the time for this discussion. It was very interesting, very informative, with a dash of spice and hot sauce, just as like we like it. Wanted to mention that our audience split 68 to 40%, where 60 being pro citizen development in this discussion. We definitely appreciate the votes and the questions of our audience. Unfortunately, we didn't even get to the questions from the audience. This is how heated this was, right? But we do appreciate all of the comments that we have received. I would also like to announce that our next Creatio Arena is gonna take place on July 23rd, when we'll discuss the topic of what should be the IT strategy, either using unified systems or use a range of best of breed applications that are gonna be brought together through integrations, for example. Again, I would like to remind our audience to visit us next time. Don't forget about product battles. definitely check out our YouTube channel where you can keep an eye with all of the recordings of our discussions, of our product battles, our arenas and webinars. You can hit subscribe. You can visit the link to our YouTube channel, right? And make sure that you get all the notifications. Gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you on this arena, and I hope to talk to you very soon in the near time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. Take it easy. Fred.
Thanks.
Hi, guys.
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, Kate.
Hi.
What's up? What happened today?
Yeah, it was problems with the broadcast link because it can be accessed from not from all countries. It can be accessed, but we did sending the link without this proxy issues to the attendees. Some of them joined us still at the same time. So at the end we have around 120 participants on the live session, and we make sure to send everybody who were registered. It was more than 200 people the records. So
yeah, is it because of the CIS arena that we did an hour before?
So yes, it was.
Let's not do that anymore.
Yes, it will not be done next time, so not sure, but your discussion was really great. I can't remember the last time when we spent 1 hour just discussing and not bring any questions to the room.
And I have more topics here. I have a lot of topics here to put on the on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can continue this for many more hours. And gentlemen, I really appreciate your engagement.
No, thank you.
I hope that I did not offend your development approaches.
Everybody's friend here.
I completely disagree that everyone can build an application for enterprise, but yeah, I'm fine.
No. I mean, that's the point, right? Different people have different opinions, and we're. Again, I mean, like this is what it's all about. It's about
I think that perspective is very important because when we are talking about the future, about the future of IT, it's completely different perspective. And every day today, we are working with low code, no code solutions. And those two perspectives are completely different. Yeah, what I see and how I see how we cope with low code, no code, and citizen development today, and how we think it will evolve in the future. So someone is really hard to put together those two perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Unfortunately, I have to jump off
you,
for
Alex.
my next
Thank
meeting.
you, everybody. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Radoslav. I will make sure to send you record as well, so you can use it for some further reference or share it with your contacts.
Sure.
And I do hope that we might have you as our speakers on some of our next arenas.
No problem for me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day, guys.
Thanks a lot.